I never imagined standing at my own daughter's doorstep, suitcase in hand, only to hear her say, "Mom, you can't stay, you'll ruin the aesthetic." Those words sliced through me sharper than any blade, echoing in my ears as the door closed gently but firmly in front of me. Jessica, my daughter, the child I had raised entirely alone, had just rejected me in the moment I needed her most. It had been less than 24 hours since I'd lost everything in a tragic house fire. My home, my sanctuary, and a lifetime of memories turned to ashes overnight. In the aftermath, standing numb amidst the ruins, my first instinct was to seek refuge with Jessica, my only child, the girl I had poured every ounce of my strength and love into raising. I had imagined her comforting embrace, reassuring words, and the safety of her presence. I never thought I'd become someone inconvenient, someone who no longer fit neatly into the curated image she carefully maintained. Jessica's home was beautiful, a flawless magazine-worthy vision. The stone facade, tall doors, meticulously placed plants. Everything spoke of perfection and order. It was a striking contrast to my worn suitcase, the soot lingering stubbornly on my coat, and the desperation I felt inside. Jessica's rejection wasn't loud or aggressive. It was quiet, polite even, but firm enough to tell me everything I needed to know. I didn't belong there, not anymore. Standing alone on that cold, elegant porch, I felt every sacrifice I'd ever made as a single mother come crashing down on me. The double shifts, sewing clothes until my eyes blurred, skipping meals so Jessica could have enough, all suddenly felt meaningless. I'd given up so much willingly, joyfully even, because I believed in her future, in our future together. Yet now that future felt shattered, leaving me questioning every choice I'd ever made. But in the depth of my heartbreak and confusion, I realized something powerful. This wasn't just my story. Many women, mothers like me, might be silently experiencing similar moments of rejection, pain, and self-doubt. And that's why I decided to share this openly. If this resonates with you, please gently subscribe, like, share, and tell me your own experiences in the comments. Your voice matters more than you know. Sitting alone later that night in a dimly lit motel room, I stared at the peeling wallpaper, tears silently tracing their way down my cheeks. How had it come to this? How had Jessica, the child I raised with all the love I possessed, become someone who valued appearances over family? Memories flooded me, pulling me back to those endless nights in the diner, pouring coffee until my hands trembled, smiling wearily at customers to earn tips that meant Jessica would have new shoes or school supplies. I'd rush home after my shift to my sewing machine, repairing garments and crafting dresses long after midnight, just to afford dance classes Jessica adored. Jessica was always appreciative back then. Her young eyes sparkled with gratitude when I managed to surprise her with small gifts or special meals. "Mom, you're the best," she'd whisper, hugging me tight. That little girl never complained about our modest home or secondhand clothes. She understood, even at that tender age, that her mother was doing everything possible to give her a brighter future. Yet as Jessica grew older, something shifted. Gradually, appreciation was replaced by subtle embarrassment. The friends she brought home seemed wealthier, more polished, and our humble surroundings began to shame her. By the time she married Daniel, a successful surgeon, and moved into an upscale neighborhood, Jessica's transformation was complete. She had constructed a world perfectly curated for social media and dinner parties, meticulously arranged, leaving no room for her imperfect mother. The painful reality hit me with profound intensity. Had I unintentionally taught Jessica that love and worth were measured by success and appearances? Had my determination to give her better inadvertently made her ashamed of where she came from? These questions haunted me, deepening my grief. Feeling overwhelmed, I called my lifelong friend Barbara. Her voice, warm and familiar, soothed the sharp edges of my heartbreak. "Carol," Barbara said gently after hearing my story, "Jessica's choices are hers, not yours. It's time you reclaim your independence and remind yourself who you truly are, beyond just being Jessica's mother. You deserve happiness, not just survival." Barbara's words resonated deeply. She was right. I had defined my life through my daughter's eyes for too long. It was time to regain control, to rediscover my identity and self-worth. Later that week, clarity and resolve guided me to a small black notebook tucked away securely in my purse, a notebook Jessica never knew existed. Inside was a carefully kept secret. Every dollar I'd saved quietly over decades. Money from extra shifts, late-night sewing, small tips squirreled away meticulously, never touched, always meant for emergencies. Counting the numbers carefully, a surprising realization unfolded. My quiet, disciplined savings had grown into a modest yet substantial amount, enough to start anew, to redefine my life on my terms. Then it struck me, a daring thought tinged with irony. For years, Jessica had admired a certain house from afar, a gorgeous Southern-style home with large columns, wraparound porches, and sprawling lawns. As a young girl, she'd gaze longingly at its elegance, whispering her dreams about living in such a place one day. How poetic would it be, I mused bitterly, if I finally made her dream come true? Within days, papers were signed, and the dream house was mine. I walked through it, feeling both satisfaction and an aching sadness. It was beautiful, exactly as Jessica had described, yet something deeper was stirring within me. This wasn't just about making a point or reclaiming dignity. This was about healing and rediscovery. Quietly, I began preparing the home not for me, nor for Jessica's vain approval, but for something bigger, something meaningful. My thoughts crystallized into a powerful realization. Perhaps this place could serve as a sanctuary for women like me, women who felt discarded, invisible, or abandoned by their families, women who deserved warmth, safety, and respect. With each room I prepared, I felt the weight of my grief lighten slightly, replaced by a sense of purpose and determination. My heart, though still aching from Jessica's rejection, began beating with a newfound strength. Standing on the spacious porch overlooking the lush gardens one evening, I finally picked up my phone and sent Jessica a simple photo of the house. No words, no explanations, just a silent declaration. The response was almost immediate, a confused, anxious call from Jessica, questioning my intentions. Calmly, with the newfound confidence Barbara had encouraged, I answered, "Jessica, I bought it because I thought it matched your aesthetic." Silence filled the line, punctuated only by Jessica's sharp intake of breath. In that powerful, quiet moment, I knew the tables had turned, and our journey towards an uncertain but hopeful reconciliation had just begun. I stood silently on the wide, welcoming porch, the phone pressed lightly to my ear, waiting for Jessica's response. The photograph I sent her, no message attached, had clearly shaken her. After a long pause, her voice, tight with confusion and suppressed frustration, broke the silence. "Mom, why would you do this?" Taking a slow breath, steadying myself, I answered gently, firmly, "I thought it matched your aesthetic." Silence again. I imagined her standing in her immaculate kitchen, gripping her phone, the perfect veneer of her world disrupted. "I don't understand," she finally managed, voice barely above a whisper. "Is this some sort of revenge?" "No, Jessica," I responded softly. "It's a mirror, a reflection, maybe even an invitation." She ended the call abruptly, leaving my words hanging. Yet, I sensed this was far from over. Later that evening, headlights pierced the quiet darkness of the driveway. Jessica emerged from her sleek SUV, her posture tense, her face a canvas of conflicted emotions. She approached hesitantly, as though unsure if she belonged there. We stood quietly on the porch, each of us uncertain how to begin. Finally, Jessica broke the silence. "You bought this house just to spite me?" I shook my head gently. "No. I bought it to remind you and myself of something important, something we've both forgotten along the way." Her eyes shimmered, anger fading into pain. "What exactly did we forget, Mom?" "That appearances aren't everything," I replied quietly. "That behind our image is a story, our story, and it deserves to be honored, not hidden away in shame." Jessica flinched, her facade cracking slightly. "You don't understand what it was like for me, Mom. You don't realize the pressure of always being different, always struggling. I built something better, something I could be proud of, and you just want me to throw it all away?" I reached out gently, touching her arm. "Jessica, I never wanted you to discard what you've built, but I never imagined you'd discard me to preserve it." Tears welled in her eyes, spilling over as she took a deep breath, trembling visibly. "You don't understand," she repeated softly, voice breaking. "There's something I've never told you." My heart pounded, sensing the gravity of her unspoken words. "Jessica, what is it?" She looked away, staring into the darkness as if drawing strength. Dad tried to come back when I was 16. He reached out wanting to make amends, wanting to see you again. My breath caught painfully, shock rippling through me. What are you saying? Jessica turned, eyes filled with deep sorrow and guilt. I turned him away. I told him we didn't need him. I was angry. He had abandoned us. I thought I was protecting you. My knees weakened slightly, and I sat slowly on the porch swing. Jessica, why didn't you tell me? Her shoulders shook gently as she lowered herself beside me, voice filled with anguish. I was ashamed, Mom. Ashamed of turning him away. Ashamed of hurting him and you. Silence seemed easier. I reached out, holding her trembling hand tightly. Jessica, silence only deepens pain. You know that now. She nodded, wiping her tears. I thought if I buried it deep enough it would disappear. But it only created distance between us, didn't it? I squeezed her hand reassuringly, feeling a rush of compassion replace my hurt. Yes, but we can bridge it, Jessica, with honesty, with openness. She looked at me hesitantly. How can you forgive me, Mom, after everything? In response, I pulled out a folded letter from my pocket, gently placing it in her hands. Jessica's eyes widened, recognizing the handwriting immediately. It's from your father, I explained softly. Robert sent it shortly before he passed away. I received it just a few weeks ago. I've been holding on to it, unsure how to share it. Jessica's fingers trembled as she unfolded the paper. Her tears fell freely as she read Robert's heartfelt apology, his enduring love expressed clearly in every carefully penned word. He had regretted leaving every day of his life, desperately longing for forgiveness he wasn't sure he deserved. When she finished reading, Jessica's shoulders shook with silent sobs. I wrapped my arms around her, holding her close, feeling years of hidden grief and guilt finally releasing. I'm so sorry, Mom, Jessica whispered against my shoulder, for everything, for pushing you away, for hiding the truth, for losing sight of what mattered. I forgive you, I whispered back softly, meaning every word. And I hope you forgive me too, for not seeing your struggles, for not understanding sooner. We sat together quietly under the soft glow of porch lights, the peaceful stillness around us a stark contrast to the turmoil we'd carried silently for years. In that moment, the damage of silence was evident, but so too was the powerful healing that came with truth. I want to fix this, Mom, Jessica said firmly, eyes clear with determination. I want us back. I smiled warmly, gently squeezing her hand. Then let's start now, together, openly and honestly. And in that quiet night, amidst revelations and reconciliations, we began the slow, beautiful process of healing, determined to never again let silence rob us of the love we had always shared. In the weeks that followed our long overdue conversation, Jessica and I began the difficult, beautiful work of rebuilding not just our relationship, but something far bigger than ourselves. What had started as a silent standoff on a polished porch had transformed into an opportunity for healing, for service, and for redemption. The house I had bought, the one Jessica once dreamed about as a child, slowly shifted from a symbol of defiance into something with purpose. Together, we decided to turn it into a sanctuary, a safe haven for women over 50 who, like me, had once found themselves with nowhere to go. We named it Harbor of Hope. Jessica took to the idea with a fervor I hadn't seen in her in years. Gone was the woman obsessed with image and polished perfection. In her place was someone softer, more grounded. She rolled up her sleeves and helped repaint the rooms. She hosted meetings with city leaders and nonprofits. She even stood on the front lawn and welcomed our first resident, a retired school teacher whose family had quietly stepped away once her health declined. Jessica looked her in the eyes, smiled with sincerity, and said, "You're safe here. You belong." Watching her grow into this version of herself was one of the most emotional experiences of my life. It was a transformation not just of character, but of spirit. She was finally becoming the woman I had always hoped she'd be, not perfect, but kind, not flawless, but fiercely compassionate. For me, Harbor of Hope became a second act I never anticipated. I helped decorate each room with warmth and care, sewing curtains by hand, baking muffins for the women when they arrived, and listening to their stories like each one was a sacred gift. Many had been cast aside by their families, misunderstood, or simply forgotten. But in that house, they found comfort, dignity, and community. And I found something too, my voice. Looking back now, I see the entire journey not as a series of losses, but as a series of transformations. Losing my home led me to this one. Losing Jessica for a time brought us closer than we'd ever been. The sacrifices I made as a mother, the wounds I carried quietly, the resilience I forged in silence, all of it led me here. I've come to understand that motherhood isn't just about giving, it's about growing. It's about guiding a child while still holding on to yourself. And while I had lost pieces of myself over the years, Harbor of Hope helped me stitch those pieces back together with grace, one act of service at a time. I also learned that true forgiveness isn't a single moment, it's a process. It's choosing love over resentment, peace over pride. It's looking someone in the eye after years of misunderstanding and saying, let's try again. To the women listening to this, whether you're a mother, a daughter, or someone simply trying to navigate a life that hasn't gone as planned, I see you. You are not forgotten. Your story is still unfolding, and there's so much beauty ahead. Our wounds don't have to define us. Healing comes not from forgetting pain, but from turning that pain into purpose. If you're listening to this story today, remember you're never alone, and it's never too late to rebuild. Thank you for sharing this moment with me here at Real Her Stories. Until next time, take care and stay strong.